Teach the people the truth about Islam, the misconceptions that confuse their minds. Oh humanity, Islam is not new, it's the faith of all the prophets too. Let's work together in the path of truth and come to common terms, don't be a...
Inshallah, from the book of بداية المجتهد ونهاية المقتصد للإمام ابن رشد القرطبي رحمه الله تعالى, and we are in the الباب الثالث, chapter number 3, in the page number 179 in the English book inshallah. And يقول المؤلف البيوع المنهي عنها بسبب الغرر. What is the we're talking about what kind of sales is prohibited sales, and the reason of the sales is al-gharar. And now, what is al-gharar? We use this word al-gharar a lot actually in any transaction, fiqh, any fiqh transaction. We always use the word gharar. Of course, the translation with that in English, we call it uncertainty. Uncertain things. And another translation or meaning, call it khatar or danger. But let's come to the word gharar to understand the chapter with that word gharar. غين را غين فتحة را غرر. الغرر ظاهر يغر المشتري وباطن مجهول, meaning for the buyer, الغرر, for the buyer something looks good for the one he buy the things, but the seller, he know the truth about the commodity or the merchandise. So the buyer, he didn't know the reality, he didn't know the truth about the commodity or the merchandise, but the seller, he knows what is unseen things, uncertain things, unsure, unknown things in that things I want to buy, the commodity. Now here, إذا كان خفاء السلع غير مقصود فهو جهالة. If the seller doesn't know, the problem with the merchandise or the commodity, we call it jahala. Jahala from jahl. Jahl, that means unknown or is not gharar. You're not deceiving someone. Actually, gharar, deceiving someone to buy things, you know the truth about it, and the other party doesn't know the truth about it. But if the seller, the one he owned the merchandise, doesn't know, he does not know or she does not know the truth about it, that we call it, and there is a problem with it, that call it jahala. Jahala, that means unknown. Alright. But that means the gharar is not maqsood, is not intentionally you sold it. But if that intentionally, that we call it gharar. Okay, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hate those people. They call this kind, they're selling things with causing gharar, or they're selling something with gharar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he cursed those people, the mal'oon. Mal'oon, that means he's out of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we said al-gharar with their intention, you know what is your merchandise and what is the problem with that, they call it gharar. Now let's come what is our author said about al-gharar. قال about the chapter number 3, وهي البيوع المنهي عنها من قبل الغبن الذي سببه الغرر. And now he said, what is the sales, prohibited sales, and that where there is some kind of betrayed or misleading or misappearance to the merchandise, called ghubn, and that will cause gharar. That means there is some kind of a cheat, some kind of betrayed, some kind of plotting called ghubn. Al-ghubn, what is something you know about the merchandise and you know it, and then you sell it. When you sell it, that causes gharar. That means al-ghubn, that means misappropriation, that called khadi'a, or betrayed, that will cause gharar, that means uncertain things. Now he said, والغرر يوجد في المبيعات من جهة الجهل أو على أوجه. And he said, al-gharar, that the betrayed, or al-gharar, that we call, I will say it in Arabic now, we understand what is gharar, uncertainly, but we say it in Arabic now, gharar, from now on, inshallah. يوجد في المبيعات, that we find it in the sales of transaction, and there is a lack of knowledge about the merchandise. Lack of knowledge about the certain merchandise or certain commodity. And he said, in many ways. In many ways. Of course, sometimes we look at the things, with a commodity, we want to buy something, and then that things you want to buy from outside looks beautiful. But with the inside, I don't know what's going on. Who knows? The one he tried it before. The one he know it before. He used it before, like a car, for example. All right. And he said there is many ways. He said, إما من جهة الجهل بتعيين المعقود عليه. He said, one of the jahl, or lack of knowledge, either the gharar, either with identify the subject matter. Identify the subject matter. You wanna, meaning, what is that subject matter? Merchandise, commodity, and we don't know exactly the truth about what you are selling, what you are buying. Sorry, what you are buying, you don't know the truth about it. All right. Another things here. أو تعيين العقد. تعيين العقد, the failure to determine the contract. It's not only the commodity, also the contract. Sometimes they make some cheat. Now we have an attorneys, and attorneys, they write a beautiful contract. Beautiful contract. And something there, the seller, the one he owns the commodity, he knows the trick. The people cause some kind of tricks. And the buyer doesn't know about these tricks. He just signed the contract. That also called gharar. So we talk about the failure to determine the contract. That call it also gharar, uncertainty. All right. And also أو من جهة الجهل بوصف الثمن والمثمون المبيع. He said, when we have the price and the price commodity. You see, when we have a lack of a price or the price commodity, we have lack of understanding, lack of knowledge about the price or the commodity. الثمن أو المثمون. الثمن is the price, and المثمون, that the price commodity. Or بقدره, the quantity. You have a pile of something, surra, pile, and you don't know. That also gharar. You know, if you tell you the buyer, the seller, the one he owned the commodity, he tell you something, and you find something else. That also called it gharar. So all this kind we're talking about gharar. The quantity, أو بأجله, the delivery. The delivery, when I can deliver this to you. Okay, that you have some kind of 1 week, for example, and that takes 10 days. And you know it's going to take 10 days. You know, the person knows that it's going to take 10 days. That also called it gharar. That's called it gharar. So the gharar, as the author said, gharar or uncertainty, there's many ways. Not only about the merchandise, no, the merchandise or the contract or the price or the commodity or the quantity, or the delivery time, all this called it gharar. وأما من جهة الجهل بوجوده أو تعذر القدرة عليه، وهذا راجع إلى تعذر التسليم. And also he said about the delivery, if there is a contract, you say 1 week, and you know it's going to take more than that, as I mentioned, that will call it gharar. All right. He said also, ومن البيوع التي توجد فيها هذه الضروب من الغرر. He said this some kind of type of sales, and there is we found some kind of gharar. He said, بيوع منطوق بها وبيوع مسكوت عنها. These two types. بيوع منطوق بها. Some بيوع is expressed or mentioned. We know, have a merchandise or commodity, and you talking about a certain things. That means مسموع بها. The author said بيوع مسموع بها منطوق بها. منطوق, that means you pronounce it. For example, laptop. And this laptop called like HP or Dell, and you make the description, how many gigabyte, how fast, the speed, and all this. So something mantuq, you pronounce it, you describe it. Someone like me, I didn't know anything about laptop or computers, and somebody will tell me the laptop this and this and this and that. So they make the description, and then he make it something incredible. You have no idea what it is. So if or you add things to make me more excited, that would be gharar. You have to say the truth about the commodity, whatever the commodity is, whatever the merchandise is, you have to describe it exactly what it is. You add things to it, that is gharar. That is gharar. All right. So he says al-mantuq either with mantuq biha or maskutun anha. Mantuq, this means you pronounce it, you describe it, or masmu' anha, say you heard about it. You heard about it, but you didn't see it. And then let's go straight, speaking about the first time, al-biyu' al-mantuq biha aw al-masmu'. Al-mantuq biha does mean expressly mentioned. Expressly mentioned. And what we talk, remember, important thing, we speaking the haram sales or transactions here. We're talking about prohibited transactions. We're speaking about prohibited transaction or sales, and that al-gharar, and many ways of al-gharar. Many ways of al-gharar. He said, al-biyu' al-mantuq biha, what is pronounced or you hear about it. Number one, he said, فإما المنطوق به في الشرع, what is pronounced expressly mentioned in the Sharia, in the Islamic law, فمنه, some kind, not everything, but whatever we mention here, please give me your attention. Whatever we mentioned here, now in our 20th centuries, we have a lot of more things. So I wanted to compare whatever, especially with the student, the recent students, I want you just to make like a standard about these things, that as a standard, and things we are using right now in our daily life. We now, if you know one of the signs of the Day of Judgment, the Prophet ﷺ says, "Taqarub al-zaman." Taqarub means the time will be short. I mean, you are here in the United States and you're selling something in China, or you're selling something in the Middle East in the same time, in the same moment, that moment. Every single second you'll be in touch with some person in different continent. So we're going to speak about this, compare whatever we're going to discuss about the gharar and compare it to the other things we have it in our life. We use it in daily basis. We buy it, transaction. Please give complete attention to these things, just to compare it to the other, especially if you are seeking for knowledge and seeking for the truth, not to deal with riba or interest. And he said, al-mantuq biha, what is pronounced, منها بيع حبل الحبلة. Now, what does that mean, حبل الحبلة? I have to explain it because really I cannot find exact translation. When they're speaking about the camel, the she camel, pregnant, and you're selling the baby inside the womb of the she camel. You're selling the baby before the baby born. You're selling the baby inside the she camel without that baby born yet. Now the question is that baby will come male or female? Is number one. That baby will come dead or alive? Is number two. That how many pounds is that baby? How many? So there's a lot of things. What kind of camels and so on. So anything the Prophet ﷺ prohibit to sell the baby inside the womb of the she camel or the mother, any kind of animal. Can we compare this to something in our life right now? A lot of things. Think about it and think with me about it. Number two, نهي عن بيع ما لم يخلق. The Prophet ﷺ, he prohibit anything is not created yet, is not here yet. The Prophet said in a hadith in the Rasul ﷺ, he said anything is not born, is not created, should not be sell or buy. Another one, وعن بيع الثمار حتى تزهى. And the author said, number three here, selling the fruit without ribes. Selling the fruit without ripe. You go to the farm, as I mentioned last class, you go to the farm and you see 10 acres land with corn, for example, and before the corn grow, and you just buy it, you know, before you don't have. What about if there is